go ahead and get started, recognizing that there are still people who are going to be coming in. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Cooper. I'm the president of the Chicago Police Board. I'm calling the board's July 18th public meeting to order. We thank, as always, CAN-TV for covering this meeting. It is being broadcast on Channel 27 and live streamed at cantv.org and on the CAN-TV app. Along with myself, we have the following board members attending in person this evening: Vice President Ms. Paula Wolf, Member Stephen Block, Member Mariley Cusack, new member Katie Liss, and new member Justin Terry. Board members Dorley and Safakis are unable to attend this meeting in person and wish to attend remotely. Is there a motion to allow them to do so?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. In addition to the police board members, we have the following city officials here with us this evening: the Superintendent of Police, Mr. Larry Snelling. We have the First Deputy Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, Mr. Ephraim Eady, who's representing COPA Chief Administrator, Andrea Kirsten. We have Associate General Counsel Sam Che for the Office of the Inspector General, who is here in place of Deputy Inspector General for Public Safety, Tabara Richardson. We have the Chief of the Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Internal Affairs, Yolanda Talley. We have the General Counsel to the Superintendent of Police, Scott Spears. And as always, we have Police Board Executive Director, Mr. Max Caproni. Before we proceed to the items on the meeting agenda, I want to first welcome new Police Board member Katie Liss to her first public meeting. Katie, I will give you just a quick few minutes to introduce yourself. Yeah, you can. We'll pass it up.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Katie Liss. I'm a member of the 45th Ward. I am an attorney, and I am excited to be here today and to give back to the community and be a part of this board. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Katie, and welcome to the board. We will now proceed to the items on the meeting agenda. The first item on the agenda is the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the drafts of the minutes of the board's public and closed meeting held on June 20th?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Seeing none, the motion passes. Just a reminder to the general public, the next meeting of the police board is scheduled to take place August 15th at 7:30 p.m. And this meeting will take place where it always does, which is here at the Chicago Police Headquarters on Michigan Avenue and 35th Street. And it would also be live streamed on CAN-TV as well. The next item on the agenda is the closed meeting section. The police board meets in executive session to discuss various matters. Those discussions are closed to the public as authorized by Section 2C1, 4, 11, and 21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Information on matters discussed in the executive sessions is included in the minutes of the meetings posted on our website. Is there a motion to close a series of future executive sessions as authorized by these sections of the Open Meetings Act?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is an update on the arbitration. This update is to provide the public with an update regarding the arbitrator's ruling and the litigation concerning such regarding police disciplinary cases, including an update on the status of cases currently before the police board. As I've noted at the past several meetings, on March 21st, Cook County Circuit Judge Michael Mullen issued his ruling that allows Chicago police officers who are members of the Fraternal Order of Police to have the most serious police disciplinary cases heard by an arbitrator rather than the police board. In April, the Fraternal Order of Police filed a notice of appeal of Judge Mullen's decision. The union is challenging that ruling, that the arbitration proceedings be open to the public, and that accused officers may be suspended without pay while the arbitration case is pending. The FOP's opening brief is due later this month on July 24th, and it appears that it will be some time before the Illinois Appellate Court decides the issue. Since Judge Mullen's ruling, and as noted on the police board's website, 13 FOP members who have disciplinary cases before the board for which an evidentiary hearing has not taken place have filed motions to transfer their cases to arbitration and terminate the police board proceedings. The board has received no information from the parties as to whether the city and the FOP have agreed on an arbitration process that is open to the public. These 13 cases, therefore, remain on hold, and there will be no arbitration hearings until the establishment of a public arbitration process. There will also be no police board hearings without the consent of the accused officer regarding these cases. However, there are 3 police officers whose board hearings were completed before Judge Mullins' ruling was issued, and each filed a motion requesting that the cases be transferred to arbitration, or alternatively, that the board stay issuing a decision in the case. The board will be ruling on these 3 motions tonight. The police board's website, chicago.gov/police board, will continue to keep the public informed of any new developments in litigation and of the status of disciplinary cases currently before the board. And I encourage all members of the public to check the news and police discipline sections of our website for the most current and up-to-date information. The next item on our agenda is disciplinary cases. The police board hears cases when the superintendent files charges recommending that an officer be discharged from the Chicago Police Department for violating CPD's rules of conduct. The board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has discussed in a closed meeting several police disciplinary cases. We will now take final action on these cases. In case numbers 23PB3017, 23PB3019, and 23PB3020, each of the accused officers filed a motion requesting that the case be transferred to arbitration, or alternatively, that the board stay issuing a decision in those cases. The evidentiary hearings for each of these cases was completed before Judge Mullins' March 21st, 2024 ruling in FOP v. City of Chicago. Is there a motion to deny all 3 of these motions because Judge Mullins' ruling does not apply to cases for which a police board hearing had already been completed and because the board must resolve issues before it according to the municipal code?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
I will now call on the members of the board for their votes. Vice President Wolf,
Aye.
Member Block,
Aye.
Member Dorley,
Aye.
Member Liss, Member Safakis,
Aye.
Member Terry.
Aye.
I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are board members Wolf, Block, Dorley, Liss, Safakis, Terry, and myself. The motion therefore passes by a vote of 7-0. We will now take final action on each of these cases. Regarding case number 23PB3017, is there a motion to find police officer Carlos Barona guilty of unnecessary use of deadly force and to discharge him from the Chicago Police Department?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
I will now call on the members of the board for their votes. Vice President Wolf,
Aye.
Member Block,
Aye.
Member Cusack,
Aye.
Member Dorley,
Aye.
Member Safakis.
Aye.
I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are board members Wolf, Block, Cusack, Dorley, Safakis, and myself. The motion passes by a vote of 6-0. Regarding case number 23PB3020, is there a motion to find police officer Jennifer Opadesano Caputo guilty of testing positive for and possessing cocaine and to discharge her from the Chicago Police Department?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
I will now call on the members of the board for their votes. Vice President Wolf,
Aye.
Member Block,
Aye.
Member Cusack,
Aye.
Member Dorley,
Aye.
Member Safakis.
Aye.
I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are board members Wolf, Block, Cusack, Dorley, Safakis, and myself. The motion passes by a vote of 6-0. The final disciplinary case that we will consider is case number 23PB3019. Is there a motion to find police officer Sean Bryant not guilty of unnecessary use of deadly force, but guilty of violating CPD directives on body-worn cameras and loading his firearm, and to order that these violations be noted on his record?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
I will now call on the members of the board for their vote. Vice President Wolf,
Aye.
Member Block,
Aye.
Member Dorley, Member Safakis,
Aye.
and Member Terry. I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are Board Members Wolf, Block, Dorley, Safakis, Terry, and myself. The motion passes by a vote of 6-0. Board Member Cusack recused herself from this case as required by the municipal code. Is there another motion to adopt the written decisions that have been reviewed by all board members who participated in the cases we just voted on?
I move it. Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, the motion passes. There is one additional matter that is up for a vote tonight. In case number 23 PB 3035, the accused CPD member, Sergeant Timothy Conlon, who is not a member of the FOP, filed a motion to stay the police board proceedings and/or transfer his case to arbitration. Is there a motion to deny the sergeant's motion?
So moved. Paula Wolf.
Second, Stephen Block.
I will now call on the members of the board for their votes. Vice President Wolf,
Aye.
Member Block,
Aye.
Member Cusack,
Aye.
Member Dorley,
Aye.
Member Liss, Member Safakis,
Aye.
Member Terry.
Aye.
I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are board members Wolf, Block, Cusack, Dorley, Liss, Safakis, Terry, and myself. The motion passes by a vote of 8-0. The written decisions for all of these cases will be entered as of today's date, sent to the parties, and then promptly posted on the board's website. Finally, there is one announcement of a ruling in a disagreement case this evening. Board Member Terry will make this announcement.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Great. I was randomly selected from the police force membership to consider one matter on which the chief administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability and the superintendent of police did not agree regarding the discipline of a police officer. In request for review number 24RR05, the chief administrator recommended that police officer Delilah Garcia be discharged from the Chicago Police Department for making false statements in violation of Rule 14 and for other misconduct stemming from an accidental firearm discharge while off-duty. The interim superintendent did not agree that Officer Garcia violated Rule 14 and proposed that she be suspended for 30 days. After considering this matter, it is my opinion that the interim superintendent did not meet the burden of overcoming the chief administrator's recommendation for discipline. Based on the seriousness of a Rule 14 violation and its impact on a police officer's credibility, an evidentiary hearing at which Officer Garcia and responding officers and supervisors give sworn testimony is an appropriate next step in determining whether Officer Garcia violated Rule 14. A copy of the written opinion will be posted on the board's website.
The next item on the agenda is appeals by disqualified applicants to become Chicago police officers. When a person who applies to become a Chicago police officer is disqualified and removed to the eligibility list due to the results of a background examination, that person has a right to appeal that decision to this board. The board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has discussed in a closed meeting several appeals. We will now take final action on these appeals. Is there a motion to affirm the disqualification decision for the following appeals? 24AA09, 12, 16, 17, 19, and 20, and reverse the disqualification decision for the following appeal? 24AA18.
So moved. Paula Wolf. Second. Ryan Cusack.
I will now call on the members of the board for their vote. Vice President Wolf,
Aye.
Member Block,
Aye.
Member Cusack,
Aye.
Member Dorley,
Aye.
Member Liss, Member Safakis,
Yes, I vote in favor of the motion, but I note that I dissent from the majority on appeal number 24AA12.
Thank you, Member Safakis. Member Terry? I vote in favor of the motion, except I also dissent from the majority in appeal 24AA12. Voting in favor are board members Wolf, Block, Cusack, Dorley, Liss, Sofakis, Terry, and myself. The motion passes. The written decisions of these appeals will be entered as of today's date, sent to the parties, and posted on the police board's website. The next item on the agenda is the board's policy on training. At last month's meeting, we announced and then posted on our website for public comment a draft policy on training for police board members and hearing officers. The board did not receive any comments on the draft policy. Is there a motion to adopt the policy that has been posted on the board's website?
So moved, Paula Wolf. Second, Riley Cusack.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, the motion passes. At this time, I now call on Superintendent Mr. Larry Snelling to give his report.
Good evening, everybody. First off, just want to talk about what's happening in 4 weeks. So approximately a month from now, we will have the Democratic National Convention, where we're expecting 50,000 delegates, dignitaries, journalists, and other visitors that are expected to pour in on Convention Day. Ever since we got this, we started training for it, and we're prepared for what may happen, what may come. Our officers are being trained on First Amendment and Fourth Amendment protections. This is important to make sure that we have a successful interaction between our officers and those who wish to have their voices heard. Although we expect people to converge upon the city, and we are protecting the areas around the venues, which would be McCormick Place and the United Center, we're still also concerned about the neighborhoods, especially those neighborhoods that are most affected by crime. As you know, over the 4th of July weekend, we had over 100 people shot. We had basically upwards of 20 people who were murdered. At 71st and Woodlawn, just a horrendous event where 2 mothers and an 8-year-old were murdered in their home. An 8-year-old and a 5-year-old also injured. A 5-year-old was fighting for his life. Luckily, it sounds like both of them are recovering at this point, but still, you know, just keep them in your prayers. It's very important. We're losing children. When we look at over 100 people shot and people murdered, we had children in that group of people, and both of those groups ranging from tender age minors up to teenagers. So it's very important that we make sure that we maintain a presence in the neighborhoods. We're working with our outreach partners. We're working with community groups and other agencies from the city of Chicago to make sure that we have manpower out there around the clock to assist victim services, and also our family liaison program with our detective division. So as we prepare for what's going to happen in August, we're continuing to prepare for the neighborhoods. It's important that we do not overextend our department to where we cannot protect our neighborhood. So we're going to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of manpower in the districts to make sure that we can respond to calls for service as well as be proactive to prevent crime out there. So it's really important to protect our children out there. So with that being said, I'd like to say welcome newly appointed board member Katie Liss, and thank you for the time, President Cooper.
Thank you, Superintendent. Excuse me, we'll have time for public questions at the end of the meeting. Excuse me, please. The next person that we like to call, and we'll have time for public comments at the end to hear everybody, is that we'd ask the COPA Chief Administrator report, and First Deputy Edie will give that report.
Thank you, President Cooper. For the month of June, COPA received 326 complaints and notifications. Through July 15th, 2024, we have received a total of 3,418 complaints. 2,730 of those were referred to the Bureau of Internal Affairs. 688 have been retained at COPA. The total cases currently under investigation for COPA are 593, with 61 currently in preliminary review and investigation in our intake unit, and 532 currently being investigated. COPA just completed its second quarter report and posted it on our website at chicagocopa.org. It can be reviewed there. Through 2 quarters, COPA has received 1,700, I apologize, in the second quarter, which would be April 1st through June 30th, COPA received 1,703 complaints and notifications, which is a 16% increase compared to last year this time. 1,264 of those have been referred to the Bureau of Internal Affairs, and 439 for the second quarter were retained at COPA. As it pertains to the consent decree, the Independent Monitoring Report 9 reflects that COPA is at 100% preliminary compliance, 99% secondary compliance, and 82% full compliance. COPA just completed its third session of its People's Academy, a 6-week condensed version of our internal training academy that our investigators and legal staff go through. It is available for members of the public to learn about how COPA conducts its investigations, analyzes video, weighs witness credibility, etc. It was held at North Park University. Our prior 2 sessions last year were held on the west side of Chicago in the Joint Public Training Center. The participants in this particular COPA People's Academy Session 3 spanned 15 wards and 12 police districts, so there was adequate attendance across the city. Our fall will be a virtual academy that will be open to the public and to practitioners around the country. The plan is for in spring 2025 to host a COPA People's Academy on the south side of Chicago. Also, our upcoming all-staff meeting, as we have tried to engage communities and have our all-staff meetings in communities around the city. The next will be at the Ukrainian Institute of Modern Art. In the past, we've visited the DuSable Museum and the Mexican Museum of Art. On July 16th, COPA released a press statement regarding an officer-involved shooting that occurred on Saturday, July 13th, near 3800 West North Avenue. An officer did discharge their weapon, striking an individual. A gun was recovered on the scene, and the individual was transported to the hospital. The incident was captured on body-worn camera, and unless prohibited by court order, COPA will release all relevant video and materials, including police reports, in accordance with the city's 60-day video release policy. Having said that, those are our updates for this police board meeting. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, First Deputy Eady. At this time, and as promised, I will now call on members of the public who signed up in advance to speak. And to make sure that everybody has time to speak and that we can hear from everybody who's taken time out of their day to come here, we would just ask that you follow our standard practice, which is 2 minutes. There's a time limit. I see there's some questions. I'll just note that given the size of the number of public in the room, that even if you haven't signed up to speak and you still want to speak, we will allow that just so that everybody can be heard, if that was your question. Okay. So with that being said, I would first like to call Dr. Rita Pritchett up to speak.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Board, Superintendent, everyone, and my sisters and brothers in the community. My name is Rita Pritchett. I'm a retired Chicago police officer. I'm here to speak as a retired police officer and a citizen of the city of Chicago. For me, at 78, I envision a coexistence between the Chicago Police Department and the community to facilitate serving the citizens of Chicago with a window of opportunity of engagement for us all to participate, for us all to participate. Superintendent Snelling and his staff have made strides to achieve the goals that are necessary, I think, to reduce crime so that the citizens of Chicago can have and maintain a sense of safety in each of their communities. Both the police and the citizens have a responsibility to remedy violations in terms of criminal element. The police can't do it without the citizens because the citizens know what is happening in their communities. If you don't tell the police don't know. I think that Superintendent Snelling, through each one of his districts and through the faith-based initiatives and the programs that he's implemented, has offered every opportunity for the citizens to be engaged with the police department so that we can communicate with one another, not at one another. We can get together. We can make this work. We can come together as one, knowing together we can. We can work together on strategies between the police and the community to maintain an open dialogue, to work together in partnership in addressing both the concerns of the citizens and the police. And just for your information, police officers are required to live in the city of Chicago. I'm a citizen. Thank you.
The next person I would like to call up to speak is Mr. Bobby Kennedy.
Could you do me a favor and hand that to, well, I'll bring it up here. Okay. Y'all remember last time I was here, y'all didn't have an answer for me on the affinity policing program. I just gave you that. That's the phone number of the source. Do you have any answers on that about the disenfranchised communities that were supposed to get these community identity cards?
I'm sure somebody would be happy to speak with you after.
Mr. Snelling? Nothing? Same thing? Okay then, no answer. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. The next person I would like to call is Miss Brenda Horsley.
Good evening, everyone. Officer Snellings. My name is Brenda Horsley. A little bit about my background. I taught school for approximately 10 years. I left the school system, not because I disliked the school system, but because there was a higher calling for me. We had a practice on 75th Street, Dr. Neil L. Horsley Podiatry, and that practice stayed in the same place from 1955 until December the 12th of this year. We retired the practice out of the community. But however, I am here to speak on behalf of Commander Branch. There's a lot of negative things that are said about the police, but there are some positive things. I have to start out with the negative before I get to the positive. On yesterday, I awakened at my home and I found that my gate had been, someone had tried to get into my gate. Then across the way, the next house, someone had tried to break into the garage, and a whole series of things. So the question was, when I called 911, trying to get someone to come out, I was very, very, very disappointed. In the process of me trying to say, there's a possible invasion, I need help, the young lady hung up on me in mid-sentence. So that angered me, and I'm pretty sure it would have angered any of you and anyone in this room. Because when you're in stress, you don't want anyone hanging up on you, especially 911. Because this is where you get help. Well, upon doing that, I said, okay, what do I do now? So I called a neighbor, and I said, look, I need a little help.
She just keeps the time.
Oh, oh, I need a little help. That's right, I got to speed up 2 minutes. I need a little help. Please help me out. So from this point, Commander Branch was called. Commander Branch had not gone into work. He immediately came over to where I was at. He immediately calmed me down from Officer Smelling, from you having to put handcuffs on me. But he calmed me down. But my point I'm making is Commander Branch in the 3rd District is doing everything that you would want a commander to do for the community. When we call him, he comes. He comes, and he supports us, and a lot of his officers support us too. So in closing, I would like to say that 3rd District need a new place to work. He's a wonderful man, and he should not be working in that dirty place on Cottage Grove. Thank you.
The next person I would like to call to speak is Mr. Rodney Johnson.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rodney Johnson, and I am also the neighbor of Ms. Brenda Horsley. I represent a group, Neighbors United, which amongst many other community endeavors is concerned about 75th Street and the issues we have going on with 75th Street and the bars that bring an element to the community from outside of our community, for that matter, and it causes mayhem. We've been working on this issue for a while. You know, we've had a chance to speak, Superintendent, even before you were superintendent, and congratulations. I've never had a chance to tell you personally. We really want to applaud Commander Branch and Commander Tate. For those who don't know, 75th Street is a dividing line between 2 districts. South side is 1 district, north side of the street is different districts. So, but we've had a whole plan for, you know, dealing with some of this, especially in the summer. My request is, speaking to both commanders, their resources in terms of their budgets are being drained with the overtime that they have to use to effectively deal with the issues that we have. And I'm just appealing to you, Superintendent, to please give them the resources that they need for overtime, for tow trucks. On the 4th of July weekend, they had no parking along 75th Street, I think from 11 to 6 a.m. And, boy, I tell you, they were out there. 3 tow trucks, all kind of policemen, Lieutenant Cleggett. We sent a compliment on his behalf. He was out there at 2 o'clock in the morning clearing those people out. And as I went out there, people were on their cell phones. Hey, you better move your cars because they're writing tickets, you know. And that's the kind of resources that we need, because without that, it becomes a mayhem. And if we go back a couple of years, there have been massive shootouts that come from these crowds that come into the area. So please, can we continue to give them the resources that, you know, both the 6th and the 3rd District, Commander Tate and Commander Branch need. Thank you.
The next speaker I'd like to call is Ms. Jasmine Smith.
So I wasn't expecting to speak tonight, but Superintendent Snelling is here. And I am Jasmine Smith. I am an activist with Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. I am the co-chair over the Campaign to Free Incarcerated Torture Survivors and Wrongfully Convicted. My two loved ones, Lester Owens and Rico Clark, was kidnapped by Chicago Police Department detectives Brian P. Forberg, Kevin Eberly, and John Foster. They've been gone for 14 years and 17 and a half years on cases where it was put on them, and these detectives coerced, badgered, harassed, and forced these witnesses to make false confessions against them. It was just brought to my attention, you, Superintendent Snelling, and the FBI congratulated Kevin Eberly on named for the FBI Task Force Officer of the Year, June 11. And y'all congratulated him for being the Officer of the Year for the FBI Task Force, and is saying that Detective Eberly is the Task Force Officer on the FBI Violent Crimes Task Force and was chosen for the award because of his dedication to public safety and a passion for service. I'm giving you a fair warning right now. Last year, because of the exposure and due to a reporter going public, Channel 2 nationally, about Forberg, y'all forced him to retire 5 days later after he made the news. Eberly is still on the force. He is not a person of public safety. You told me that you was going to hold these officers accountable, but instead they're being awarded for their corruption. It's a shame, and we're going to be exposing him next. I got my flyers ready, and the lawyers have video footage. After the DNC, we will be publicly dropping bombs of the corruption of Eberly, Foster, and Forberg, and every other state's attorney and judges that had their hands in wrongfully convicted. Right now, 27 known wrongfully convicted by Eberly, Foster, and Forberg. Justice needs to be served, and y'all need to help us bring our loved ones home who've been harmed and kidnapped by these detectives, because they're wrong. They're corrupt, and this code of silence have to stop. We need accountability out here. And the public doesn't want to involve themselves with you guys because there's no accountability for when you do wrong to us. So until that is done and justice is served in that way, then the public would trust the police. But it's no trust when they being awarded for doing damage and harm to these communities other than protecting and saving us like they supposed to.
The next speaker is Jackie Bradford.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Bradford. I'm a retired Chicago police officer. I worked for the department for 30 years. I live right off of 75th Street. I live in the 6th Police District. And I'd just like to reiterate what Mr. Johnson stated about giving Commanders Tate and Branch the help that they need in continuing to try to quell the issues that we have when we have warm weather. We also need assistance in finding the owners of vacant lots that are on 75th Street, where if people aren't parked on the street, they will post up in these vacant lots. And we have problems with people taking it upon themselves to, in their cars, they're selling alcohol to people who may not be getting into the bars. We have people who have bought food trucks and they're not licensed. So we need other city services to come in and help enforce these people that are doing performing illegal activities by ticketing them. And if we consistently do these things, it will encourage them not to come to our neighborhoods and make it uncomfortable and scary and just unlivable. Thank you for your time.
The next person we'd like to call is Grace Patino.
Good evening. I'm here to raise the demands of the community. Justice for Dexter Reed. We need to fire the cops involved in his murder, abolish the racist TAC teams, and end pretextual traffic stops. Larry Snelling, you decided to ignore the Inspector General's call to reopen the investigation into 8 officers who showed up on the Oath Keepers roster. This is in spite of CPD originally reaching out to the Inspector General asking for help in conducting the investigation into the Oath Keepers. This is unacceptable. Within less than a year, we had the 96-shot murder of Dexter Reed, the Oath Keepers report, and the UN coming out with a special report on racial discrimination, talking about how CPD in the state of Illinois perpetuated police abuses, torture, and injustice against Chicagoans, ripping families apart. This is all within less than a year. When CPD commits crimes, it's not just local news. Their misconduct is now making international news. Let me explain why that should be embarrassing to this board. It's not just a reflection on CPD, that's a reflection on everyone failing to hold them accountable. Today, you voted to, I don't know if it was to fire or to discipline an officer with cocaine usage. Okay, fine. Can you please take a stance against murder? I'm once again inviting you to stand with the community and demand the police be held accountable for the execution of Dexter Reed. And we had our first public speaker making a comment up here that if the people don't tell the police what's going on, then the police won't know. Well, we've been coming here to tell you guys, and we won't ever stop asking for justice for Dexter Reed, and we won't ever stop coming here to tell you that.
Hi, thank you very much for allowing me to come in and talk today. I am also here today on behalf of Dexter Reed as well, and all of the people who have been murdered out on streets without being charged, without getting their day in court, and without having good representation. I'm not saying that everybody is innocent, but what I am saying is I agree with you. We want to work together with the police. We want to be able to come to the police. We want for the police to be out in our neighborhoods. We also want for the police to understand that we don't get to pull a person over for a traffic stop and shoot them 96 times without being held accountable for what they've done. We want to work with you. I really wished that Dexter Reed would have gotten the same courtesy that this young lady over here said that we should all be getting for one another. If you guys don't start, starts at the top. All of our brothers and sisters here, and that includes me because I am a friend and neighbor to the community. If you guys don't start at the top, you can't expect for anybody else. You set the tone, you set the precedence, and once you start doing right by the citizens in our communities here, everything else will fall smoothly into place. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carolyn Reese. Ruff.
Are you saying Carolyn Reed? Now, you know I was here the last time.
Well, I think it's Carolyn Ruff.
Yes, right here.
Don't play with us.
Don't play with me. Talking to a very important person. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. We need to laugh. I'm also here for the Dexter Reed family. And I was here the last time we had the board meeting. I was here. My name is Carolyn Ruff, Black Lives Matter Women of Faith. You probably have seen me several times protesting for justice. I stand in solidarity with the Dexter family, and we're demanding that the 5 officers that murdered Dexter Reed or assassinated Dexter Reed to be fired. We are begging you to please hurry up on this investigation, because I understand that COPA have done their investigation, and now State Attorney Kim Foxx has to do hers. Now, I'm sure she's finished with her investigation. So we're asking, where are the files now? Who's investigating this? Because we deserve answers. And we deserve respect from the community and from the police, because we pay your salary. I'm a taxpayer. I'm 76, and I want justice for Dexter Reed before I turn 80, because I know it takes 2 years to finish the investigation, but it should not take that long to finish something that's been videoed, and the whole world have seen the video, to finish and to indict these 5 people that was involved. And we're also asking you, please, can I finish? Thank you. We're also demanding that you get rid of the technical force, because they look like thugs to me. They did not identify themselves. You know, they jumping out of a car, pointing their gun at this young man. What do you expect? You know, he feared for his life. This is the same thing that happened to Laquan McDonald. He was shot 16 times. And Dexter Reed was shot at 96 times. Think about it. But 13 bullets went in him. And when he was handcuffed, they were still shooting him. So the officers that was shooting Dexter, we demand that they are fired, indicted, fired, and convicted. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tulsi McDaniels. I'm a part of the Chicago Alliance. Typically, I wouldn't make public comment because I get pretty nervous, but I'm realizing I don't have to be nervous because you all are wasting our time. And so I'm going to go ahead and waste your time. First of all, I'd like to get started with how we entered the meeting room. We were told we get to start at 7 o'clock. Our time is wasted, and then I'll also, just comment about Kobe, who got here late, and they were saying he couldn't enter because we were at capacity. We're not at capacity. So shame, yeah. So you get to waste our time, you get to keep us out, and you get to turn the community around. We work all day, and then we have to come here and do this bullshit? Why? Why is that? Why? So, yes, anyway, so I'm here for Dexter Reed. Let me pull up my phone notes, but, I'm just going to take my time because you all waste my time every day. So again, we want charges against all 5 officers. We want TAC teams disbanded, and we want an end to pretextual traffic stops. Justice for Dexter Reed. Justice for Dexter Reed. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Troy Guest, and I'm an organizer with Black Lives Matter. I want to first start off by saying I agree with everyone here who came up here and talked about Dexter Reed. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to shut this fucking city down about Dexter Reed. In my personal opinion, this thing about Dexter Reed gonna be worse than what we seen doing George Floyd. Young black man in this city mad than a motherfucker. I'm one of them, I'm ready to kill. That's where we at with it. They killing us. And they're using the legal system to kill us. They don't like how we talk. They don't like how we walk. They don't like how we trained. They don't like the power in our voices. They despise us. They don't like the power of a black man. The police department in the city of Chicago do not like the power of a black man. No matter if we got no black mayor. No matter if we got a black superintendent. White supremacy in this city is alive. Superintendent Snelling, I know a lot of people get on your neck, which is well deserved because you were head of a department that got a lot of messed up history. But I want to say, it was a good start when they brought the administration to the streets on 71st. It gave all the people that was up in that community an opportunity to let their voices be heard about something that brought all the community together. Unfortunately, it was a tragedy where you explained two women that was a part of this community for years and the baby was murdered. But it so happened that it's often in those black and brown communities. Why do we have a black superintendent, a black mayor, a black state's attorney, a black chief judge, a black, a black vice president, a black attorney general, right? We got all of this black leadership, but y'all can't protect black lives.
The next person is Bryant Murma.
So I'm here for the family of Dexter Reed. I'm a public school teacher, and I want to first speak on the disrespect to the public for starting this hearing late. You know, we have elderly people, people with disabilities here this evening, and it just speaks to the spinelessness of these class traitors here. You'd have to be a damn fool to think that after 96 shots, these murderers and cowards and pigs can get the courtesy of dialogue.
By saying, my name is Roosevelt Banks. I am the uncle of Dexter Reed, and I just want to say just a little bit about myself. I worked for the city of Chicago, Chicago Housing Authority for 19 years. My nephew was a product of this city. He played ball at Westinghouse. He led them to a regional championship in 2016, and he also went to Morton College. And so I think everything speaks to a lot of what is being said. The first thing that we have to identify is that if he wasn't blocked in that day, he would be alive right now, if proper procedures were called. And I am a product of this city. I'm a resident citizen, and I love the police department. So let me just say that. Commissioner Snelling, This is the first time I think I've actually been able to see you, and I just want to say that I voted for Mayor Brandon in the administration that he's currently under, and so it kind of hurted my heart because I understand you being a superintendent, and we heard from Brandon the day before they released the footage, but we have yet to hear from you for an apology, and I understand your position, but we're human beings as well. And so I just want to say that if there is no way to stop what's being done in this city and in this country, this is going to get very seriously worse. And I'm hoping that they look in their hearts and souls and get this one right with my nephew, because it's just been a lot of pain just to know, just not just my nephew, but other young men and women are being killed. And I'm not understanding the process of the two different situations. And my heart goes out to all of the officers. I have friends that I grew up with that are police officers. My heart goes out to all of the officers that we lost. And so I tried to get them to understand that you all's pain is the same pain we feel. There's no different pain. That's the same pain that you all feel. We feel that same pain. And so that I look at things, I try to keep myself conscious of what's going on. And so I see with the gentleman that shot the police officer, they caught him in 10 days. They tracked him to 3 states. And then I see the other 2 young gentlemen who just shot that very wonderful officer on the west side, but they caught them, and that's good. And so, but it's like the things that are going on in this city and in this country dictates what policy and supremacy is going on. We have a city that has been taking on migrants. Money's been allocated $81 million and another $70 million. You have homeless people, veterans that have been here for decades, living in Vidocs and everything, that have been getting no housing assistance, no nothing. And so, like I say again, I voted for the mayor and the administration. And so I just want to get them to understand that these officers that have done this, they had on hoodies, they didn't jump out and announce they were police officers. We know what's going on with these carjackers, these smash and grabs. And so, to my understanding, I know my nephew had to be terrified. And he's not a bad person. And so, hopefully, everything that's in the dark is gonna come to the light. And so, and I'm hoping that you do at some point fire them and indict them, because let me tell you, if it was any one of us, we would have been in the process. We have a president, a former president has 34 felonies that's about to run for president of this country. I don't know if anybody's aware of Project 2025. It's just, and I'm not probably the only one that's paying attention in this city. I want to give congratulations to COPA for the process that they did in getting this information out and being transparent about, you know, what's happening. You have situations where, and I know this is it's a dangerous job, but at the same time, I look at the video footage released on these 2 gentlemen, Cicero. One is a victim and one was a suspect. Both were shot. When they look at the footage, I'm quite sure there was a situation where they could have been tasered. You know, and I think a lot of these shootings could have been simply tasered. You know, I mean, because some of this stuff you see, there's not a great deal of danger in an officer's life. But, I mean, I'm looking at Carol Stream, Isaac. He was in his bedroom asleep. He was killed in his room, unarmed. I mean, we as a people have to come together, because what they're trying to do, I don't know if everybody's paying attention to this election and to where we're going with this, with all powers of government they want to change from low to high. This is a time when our city needs to come together so that we can try and get a domino effect. So if they see the examples that we set here in Chicago, they can be probably a model. I just want to also say I've been a victim of 3 attempted carjackings this year. I know Obama's administration had police officers on 39th and Lake Park and 38th and Lake Park, simply because of the young lady Pendleton. I know you guys are aware of her. And so when his administration was over, the officers stayed there for about another year and a half, and it brought a sense of safety on the block. Because that's my block where one of the attempted carjackings happened. And so, but if you just put cars in our communities like they do on the north side, so it might not stop, but it deter. If they don't see nothing, I seen on the news, they took 12 minutes in a liquor store. Cars riding past, come on, there's nothing in place. And I don't know the process of the police officers, but I mean, if you know these guys are out here doing these things at these times of nights, there should be some kind of tactical forces put together in terms of observing these type of things so that we can eliminate this stuff. Because I hate when I see people when I look in the mirror and I see them committing murder, they're not doing nothing but killing each other, killing us. And so we need to come together as people. All right, and I just wanted to say that. I didn't mean to take up, but I just wanted to say that. And like I said, I love the police department. I love them. I voted, you know. Yeah, so.
The next speaker I'd like to call is Mr. Colbanks.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for waking me up this morning and allowing me to be able to be here. Second of all, I would like to say thank you, everyone that's been here to support my son, Dexter Reed. I appreciate everyone that's been here protesting for my son. Apologize. It's been really hard for me. I have days that I'm okay, and I have days that I'm not. Only thing that I'm asking for is justice for my son, because I can't believe how it went down, and it just terrified me, and it was a part of me that's just missing, is never going to come back. I'm just trying to cope right now, and I just want justice. I feel that it was unfair for the way that they did my son. I don't hate the police. I fear them sometimes. All police are not bad police. So I still have respect for the officers. Mr. Snelling, I feel the same way that my brother has felt in regards to, we did not get an apology from you. I've seen you on several occasions at these meetings. No one from the police district has came and apologized to me and my family on behalf of my son, as though he was a crime syndicate or something. And that really hurted my heart. I put in dues for the police when they called me to give for that and give for that. I've done that. But it's okay, because I put everything in the hands of God. She'll handle everything and all my worries. So I will take it upon this time to say thanks once again for everyone that is in support of my son, Dexter Reed, and I shall survive. Amen.
The only question I do want to know is, how is our police morale when we have wonderful officers and then we have these officers that they know are terrible? What is our police morale to work knowing that? That was just my only question.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. I'm sure somebody will be happy to talk with you as soon as possible. The next speaker we have signed up is Miss Natalie Manning.
No, it should have been her, because I had a portion.
You'll go next. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a little nervous. My name is Natalie. I'm with the This Is Life organization. I just want to thank Superintendent Snelling and Commander Courts for coming out to our community event on June 29th. We understand that they both have a busy schedule, but we really appreciate their time for coming to the event and showing our community that they are in support. Their presence is letting the families know that they're here to support them, and we are grateful for you for your continued dedication to making a positive impact in our community, and thank you again. And have a great day.
And the next speaker is Portia Banks. Sorry about that.
Hello, good evening. So I have a couple things that I would like to pinpoint before I say what I came to say from my heart. Number one is looking around and I see several seats in here, at least about 15, and it's groups of people outside and they're saying that the place is over capacity, and it's not. We have more family members outside that would like to share their words and their thoughts, or just to be here for support, when, like they said, you were already 30 minutes late. And then when we get in here, you all said that you're trying to push to start when there was only about 6 people sitting down at the beginning, which was me and my family. So I really do agree with what she said is our time matter as well as your time matter. So that was very disrespectful. Another thing I would like to pinpoint, as my uncle and my mom said, it's actually my first time seeing Snelling in person, and we have been waiting. It'd be like 4 months and about 2 or 3 days, waiting for just a branch out or speak, just to apologize. You don't owe us anything, but just showing your respect for the situation that happened. So I feel that was very wrongful. I also would like to bring to light, as I see the mayor at a lot of events, and he speak upon Dexter and saying how they're going to make a lot of changes and things like that. But again, it's been 4 months, and as she was saying, I know it takes 2 years on an investigation, but it doesn't take much to investigate when clearly the videos are there to investigate the officers who should be locked up. Because even if they have to investigate 3, the main one, Spanos, to shoot someone that many times, to let off his clip more than 3 times, is just disgusting. And I'm just here to say that pretextual traffic stops should be stopped. The tactical teams should be banded if they're not going to have on the correct clothing where we know who they are, and pulling people over the correct way, as in with their lights like the blue and white do, and asking for driver's license and insurance and showing who they are. Because, of course, you all don't know Dexter, but we do. He couldn't see. He had one eye. So he didn't really understand what was really going on. All he see is guns drawn at him. So again, if he was pulled over in the correct way, maybe he would still be here. I don't know if that seeming as a more video that the family seen that the public didn't see. They already was running around. The police was running around like they were on some type of bull stuff already. But I'm just here to say that these people come here, even when I'm not here every other week. Y'all say y'all have this 3 weeks, but it's more stuff that be going on where people, the words be heard, but it don't seem like they're matters. Like, just wasting people's time. Like, you get paid to do your job. Do your jobs. So make a change. If this situation with Dexter would have happened on the north side, Wrigley Field or something like that, the city would be enraged. It would be going up in flames. So just because it happened on the west side of Chicago where y'all would think it would happen at, doesn't mean that y'all should not take accountability. Like, the police should be held accountable for what they did to my brother. And to even have my mom come up here today to speak, like she said, y'all pain is our pain and stuff like that, is just like everybody have different pains. And you all just don't understand, to see someone lose their life on national TV through the world. This just wasn't happening in the city, in the state. This hit the country. This hit worldwide. I think that someone should be accountable for this, because just like you said, y'all don't want no one to flip out, because y'all don't know how people feel in their minds and their hearts and how they feel towards people. So to put those same officers back on the streets after they already did murder to someone, and they already have over 40 complaints of these same group of officers, it's just like they out here and that's what they waking up to do. This is what they're doing. So it's like if you see them and this is your job, why won't you fire them? Why won't you lock them up? Do what you're supposed to do. It won't bring Dexter back, but it still will bring some type of justice in our hearts for my brother. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Start at 7:30 on the third Thursday of every month, and so I apologize if there was any confusion that the meeting was supposed to start at 7. I know that we did have several members of the public who were waiting outside, and we did try to start the meeting a little bit later, and I just wanted to apologize for everybody who didn't get in and thought the meeting was supposed to start at a different time, because the last thing we want to do is waste your time, so I do apologize. The next speaker I'd like to call is Pastor Doyler.
Thank you for your apology. Thank you. We appreciate
it. Good evening. For the record, D-O-Y-L-E, Landry, L-A-N-D as in David, R-Y. First and foremost, sure, will do. Is that better? Yes. Okay. So for the record, D-O-Y-L-E, Landry, L-A-N-D as in David, R-Y. I'll do my best for 2 minutes. First and foremost, for the family of Dexter Reed, may God give you the justice you deserve. The book of Ecclesiastes is clear: to everything there's a season. Sunday will be a season, 3 months, since Officer Luis Huesca, star number 18913, came home from work but did not make it to the door. Just 3 months. I'm saying that in context of, for me as a Marine Corps veteran, you all have heard me for the last 3 months say this, that this is now the second July 4th as to why I can't wrap my head around the fact that we wake up on the 4th of July and there's something that we can't describe. So 2 years ago in Highland Park, for the 22-year-old, and 2 years later at 6:15 in the morning on 71st and Woodlawn, the crickets, the silence in the black community is appalling, because nobody white came inside 71st and Woodlawn and did that. So for the 2 black mothers who are dead, they deserve the same justice. And the answer comes from people who look like me. It's nice, and I'll say it how I'm going to say it, Brady Bunch-like for white people to want justice. But this is where you are not, this excuse comes from us. Because today, when I'm reading, I'm old school, I read the paper, and I'm looking at the picture of the survivors in the hospital room. They're just beginning their journey, and it's 2 weeks today. So, Superintendent Snelling, thank you very much for continuing to make the impact in Inglewood, because I have to put him on the spot. He grew up in Inglewood. He comes to Inglewood. Miss Manning's event was in Inglewood at the park where he grew up. So I want to thank you for the ripple effect that you are having, because it's unnoticed. It doesn't get captured by my colleagues. Again, I used to be a full-time reporter, so it doesn't get captured. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes in the next month. I said that to you 6 months ago because I don't see the win situation. wherever you go between the 19th and the 22nd, it's like I said to you 6 months ago, I don't see the win situation because the leadership isn't you. It is Mayor Johnson. So if we're going to start being accountable, well, if we must be honest, it is our colored votes who put him in office. So when we meet again next month on the 15th, again, we have to start being honest, an inconvenient truth, making people uncomfortable, because the same justice that we want, again, for Dexter Reed's family, we should want for Elizabeth French's family, for Carolyn Wortham's family, and for every black mother who wakes up every day with the same pain. Thank you very much.
Marquette Blake is the next speaker. Miss C.C. Edwards.
Good evening, Ms. Wolf and Mr. Cooper and Superintendent. Good evening. I'm glad to be here, safe and sound. I want to say, number one, that we in the 6th District, we support Commander Tate without question. We support Commander Branch without question. They have worked very diligently. We came last month. They have done I call it like Operation Permit Parking, Operation Parking, Operation Get out of the neighborhood, okay? After 2 o'clock in the morning, you should not be in our neighborhood, period. You have had your fun. You don't live in the neighborhood. Let's go, you know? And this is what I think a lot of the homeowners are objecting to. You know, they're not objecting to the bars being open or the vibrancy of a historic district like 75th Street. And for the last 14 months, we as a group, we worked together to get that type of public safety done. We were successful. Now we're just following through. We have a group, King Drive to Cottage Grove, and we are separate and distinct from any other group. And we work very hard to get public safety on that group. Now, one of the things we talked about, we had a meeting with Commander Tate, and he was very gracious, and we have decided that we need to advocate, as some of the other members here have mentioned, for more police resources. I have personally been on third watch, Superintendent, and there was nobody there. I mean, it was just a few officers, and I was like, well, I thought it was going to be like a lot of officers, and it's not. And there's other reasons and resources, as you know, that are being distributed across the city. And I mentioned about the 250 new recruits that were graduated. That was last month, I think, when we were here, or either the month before. And could we get a few more? And he's thinking, well, maybe we'll only get 10. You know, maybe we won't. But those are the things that we need very much so. So if you could put it on the calendar to see what you can do to help us get more resources. The other thing we talked about was, and maybe you could help us get PAS parking. PAS writes tickets. The commander and his resources in the 3rd and 6th District, we need them to answer 911 calls, okay? So PAS can write and bring in revenue, Mr. Cooper, to the city. So we need that, and we need help to get that done. We got our cameras, thank you very much. Ms. Green worked very hard to get that, and so did I, and so I really appreciate that help. And in closing, I just want to say that we know that the officers work very hard. We also know they're human beings and they can make mistakes. And we need to also be just as forgiving and work with them and try to make sure that everyone is protected and everyone is safe. Thank you.
Mr. Matthew Brandon.
Good evening, all, and Superintendent. I just come to also talk about the support that we get in the 3rd and 6th District. You have 2 excellent commanders. I hate to say that because I don't want to see them gone. You know how they disappear once they get to doing a good job. So, Soup, leave them there for a while. To the Reed family, deepest condolences, and I too wish that you get the justice that you seek. I just want to dispel the myth that was said that police officers don't have a dangerous job. In 1984, I'm a former police officer. I met my wife in the academy. I went to work, she went to work, she didn't come home. She got killed in the line of duty. So police officers do have a dangerous life. I want to talk to you, Superintendent, about the money that's being spent out here on these grants, these violence intervention grants, where you have all these so-called violence interrupters that are out here, and these grants are designed as a response to violence instead of a prevention to violence. So, you get all these eggheads in these universities who never stood on 71st and Jeffrey or 63rd and Cottage, and they make decisions about how it's going to be safe. Doesn't work like that. This community decides how that should be done, and none of them are called to the table. Common sense is not used in the equation, and that's where this is failing. So the community has to be brought into those discussions before that money is put on the street, because it's spent on salaries and it's spent on all other kinds of things, but it's not spent in the community trying to help solve the problems. Thank you.
Good evening. You all notice I don't have a cane today. All right. I want to also say thank you for Commander Branch and for Commander Tate. Don't take them away. Okay? But I want to kind of say a little something since I can have a little extra time. I appreciate them. They've done a lot on 75th Street. I know because it comes down to where I am on 76th Street. So they be in the police, okay? I went to the Thor Soderberg street naming. What was it, last week? I think it was, in the dedication. And this was an officer that was killed, I guess, on the job. I didn't know him. And I was very, very impressed by the number of recruits that they have. And these recruits, everybody, look like us, okay? Now, some of the things that's been happening in the neighborhoods, and the police are not coming out because we don't have the police. But a whole bunch of folks like the police, we just can't get them because we don't have them. We walked down behind them, they were all, standing up and they're saying, "Good morning, ma'am," and, all that attention. I was so proud I didn't know what to do, because here we got some young folks that want to work for the city and they want to do something, okay? Now, I've been here a couple of times, more than a couple of times, and for years, with the last superintendent, too. And the young people coming in, I appreciate you all. One more minute, okay? But we need you to come out there with us, okay? We getting older. We going to the gas stations. We were out there at 71st and Woodlawn. All these people came out to be on camera. Okay? We are out there, okay? Not at night, because I'm going to bed at night. But I'm out there in the daytime. We walking around. We doing what we need to do. We know all these people. We know some of the fallen officers. We know Sandra Wortham. Matt, like Matt said, his first wife. Darrell was the first officer killed, okay? Female officer that is always ignored when it comes out, okay? And so we're going to do something about that too, Superintendent. We need you young people. I met some folks at the door, a young man, I think he's gone. He's going to UIC, got the same major I had, Black Studies. He was very respectful. We need to work with you all. We need to pull all this together because we're not going to be able to do it by ourselves. Okay? And we see you, I give my cards out, I try to talk to you, I ask you where you're coming from. We're going to the meetings and we're seeing what is going on with the carjackings, with everything. We're doing this on a weekly basis. We want you guys to come out too with us. Okay? All right, thank you.
I just want to thank all the members of the public who spoke today. I found the conversation. I'm sure everybody. Please, it looks like we have 2 more.
Thank you guys so much for your time. I'll be brief, I promise. I'm also from the 75th Street group, but I'm actually not advocating for that right now since the rest of the group has done so well speaking on that issue. My name is Erin. I'm a nurse practitioner, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and I work in the community. I love working in the community. It's the air I live and breathe. It's absolutely amazing. And that being said, my heart has really, really been hurt recently, given the death of a 7-year-old at Oakley Square Apartments. That community has been so deeply affected by community violence, excuse me. And I would love to see the same resources we get on 75th Street in the 12th District for that community in particular. I have had patients who have PTSD from being shot through their own windows while sitting in their living room, just trying to watch TV, enjoy their families. People who have come out to have their cars completely obliterated, and even the loss of 2 lives a year ago that caused a lot of changes in the community. We always are saying treatment, not trauma, and it's so difficult to practice that model when you can't get there to be the treatment because of all of the trauma in the area. Even recently, they did a really valiant effort of trying to put up some screening around the community to make it harder for, pot shots to come in, and still someone shot through just 2 days ago. So having the resources that we've seen, that visual presence, that building of community with the community to identify these issues early and do that treatment, not trauma, right? Directing the CARES teams there for domestic violence, for connecting the youth to job programs, to mental health services, all of those pieces, that we really, really need that in that community in particular. So I thank you for the time for my last minute addition. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Kobe Guillory. I did email y'all earlier today. I don't know. I came in a little bit late. I don't know if my name was called or not, but I apologize for my lateness. I just want to make a recommendation. I think if y'all start the meetings at 7:30, it makes more sense to let people in at 7 so that people don't have to stand outside. It takes some time to get through the security. People need to be sitting down. People have disabilities. There's elders in here. I also think it's kind of messed up that I came in here, I was stopped at the door, they told me that it was at capacity, and I come in here, I see about 15 empty seats, right? And then there's a whole lot of space in the back where there could be more seats. So what that sounds like is that you don't want to hear from the community. That's what it looks like, right? There's community members outside, members of the public. This is a public meeting. According to the Public Meetings Act, they have the right to be here, to hear and be heard, to see and be seen, right? I also think it's a shame that months after the lynching of Dexter Reed, our tax dollars are still paying those criminals who killed him. I think it's a shame that over a year after the killing of Reginald Clay Jr., our tax dollars are still paying those criminals who killed him. I think it's a shame that those TAC teams, those pretextual traffic stops that do not keep anybody safe are still in place. Those policies need to change. The police officers need to be accountable to the community for what they do and for what they don't do. They need to be held accountable for killing people and for not solving murders. They need to be held accountable for harming people's safety and for not keeping people safe. And lastly, I want to say I'm very concerned about the officers, the thousands probably of officers who are going to be invading this city for the Democratic National Convention. Only a few days ago on Monday, there was a man named Samuel Sharp Jr. who was experiencing a mental health crisis, who was killed by Ohio police officers in Milwaukee. There was also a Palestinian woman who was shoved from behind by a Republican senator who was then arrested by Texas police officers. So we don't need that kind of stuff happening in Chicago. You know, I don't want to hear about Nebraska police officers killing black and brown people here in Chicago. So anyone who walks around with a gun and a badge, they need to be held accountable to the community, and I urge you all to make that happen. Thank you.
So at this time, all members of the public who have signed up to speak have been called, and I just want to thank everybody again and the family of Dexter Reed for coming out today and sharing some comments. With that, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? All in favor?
Yeah, I'm gonna run to the bathroom.